Let's get back to it. Welcome back to the LearnRHEL YouTube channel, and today's topic is going to be about audit rules and troubleshooting them. This video will probably work for you even if you do work with WM, but it's really not the target audience. If you work with Red Hat Linux, CentOS Stream, or any of the other variants such as Rocky Linux, ALMA Linux, then this video will definitely help you because these all work in the same way. So again, we're going to troubleshoot and also create a rule set and then troubleshoot. So the idea is first is we also need to make sure that we put the resulting audit rules that we need into a single file for troubleshooting ease, and they have to be put into this directory in order for AUDIT to load them properly. Okay, and as you can tell, there's nothing in this directory. So what I'm going to do is go to the directory I mentioned in the previous video. Here, user share audit simple-rules. And in here we have a whole bunch of files. And if you notice, they all end in .rules. Now down here, this is readme-rules. I don't really need to read the readme. You can read the readme. In fact, if you're new, I would suggest that you do so. Okay. All of these rules have things that are unique about them. As you can tell, they're kind of categorized in certain ways. And then some of them actually have some overlap as well. So what I'm going to do to make life easy to generate a quick set of rules with a whole bunch of lines in it is deliberately cat anything with asterisk.rules. I'm going to pipe it to sort. I'm not going to do unique for a purpose. I want to do some troubleshooting based on the conflict of having the same rule in certain places. And then what I'm going to do is redirect everything into a single file. So I need to make sure I target the correct directory, etc. Audit rules.d. And I'm just going to create this file as temp.rules because I have a different set. And again, I don't want to have two different sets. And I don't really want to have multiple files. So this one's for me to make sure I delete this one after I do this video. Okay. One of the next things we're going to do is go check out the rule set just so you can learn. There's going to be a whole bunch of things to deal with here. Very top line, there's a whole bunch of blank lines. And you can't see it, but I'm trying to basically get down to the first set of lines of syntax that are actually useful. So all of this is comments from the other files that were consolidated into this one by concatenation and then sorted. So the hyphen is actually sorting before we get to these lines. Okay, so from here on this line, I'm going to do colon set numbers of VI command. You can see we're on line 150. We're going to go from line 1 through 150. We're going to simply delete them. We don't need those notes. Maybe you will need them to explain to somebody else in the future what you're doing, but we don't need them here. It actually throws off line numbering when you're trying to troubleshoot and you look at the var log messages file and says, hey, in line number whatever, and you don't know, wait, do they mean line number 5 of syntax? Or do they mean line number, here's a better example, line number 12 of syntax, or do they mean line number 12 in the file? Okay, so with these three, it could possibly make line 12 be line 16 that we're dealing with. These are valid commands here for Audit rules. I'm going to go ahead and just delete them to clean things up just a little bit. Control F, Control F. I'm going to delete this one. Control F. Delete this one. Control F down more pages. Delete these two. Let's find more. Or go ahead and just delete all of these. Okay. And by the way, this is, oops, undo that. This is actually kind of a control rule. So we'll take care of that in the next phase of this same video. Don't really need any of these comment lines. This is a control rule. We talked about that in the previous video. Control line here, previous video. This is a control rule as well, and I'm going to at some point delete it, but I want to show you some behavioral differences between having it and not having it. So I'll keep it for the time being. Get rid of all of these rules. I can tell you having two hyphen capital D's, they're both control rules, but we only need one. So I'm going to go ahead and delete line 199. We're going to go ahead and delete line 200, 201. This line rule here, I'm going to delete it, and then I'm going to shove it to the very bottom of the file. Okay. I'm going to go back, way back. Okay. I think we're safe here now. This is a control rule here, but we want to get rid of these two. Sorry, these 4 lines. And let's just get rid of all of these. Hyphen I is also a control rule. So we'll leave that one for the sake of argument. Hyphen login UID, hyphen immutable, another control line. I think I mentioned that in the previous video. Let's get rid of all of these lines of hashed out text that are basically just comments that are basically alphabetically arranged, but we don't really need them anymore. Okay, the watch rules I talked about definitely in the previous line. We'll delete these two. All of these because right now we don't really need them, but I'm going to actually keep a couple sample lines. And as we remember, this particular line here was deleted and then moved to the bottom. I'm going to keep this particular line. Okay. And then now what I'm going to do is take these 1, 2, 3, 4 lines that you can see are last log twice with the same keyword, and last far log, tally log lines are repeated twice. I'm going to take these and I'm going to do 4DD, it's VI command, basically delete those 4 lines from one action. I'm going to go to the very top of the file using a VI command with a lowercase gg. There we are. And I'm going to hit basically Shift capital P, basically capital P, and get those lines pasted in there and move what was at the top down. One of the other things I want to do is deliberately put in a little bit of space at the top of the file. And now I want to go back through and find all of the control rules that we already had talked about here a couple minutes ago. So hopefully I'm not going too fast, but I want to kind of keep the video short so I'm not wasting your time. So this line down to this line right here, we're going to go ahead and take and delete all of these and then shove them up at the top and just drop them in place. So 203, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. And do 8DD, double lowercase g, and then Shift P to paste those lines. So you see I move them up. Okay. I'm going to do Control F to go back down through, see if we can find any more control lines. I don't see any. Okay. Didn't see any. And remember, this is also control line, but this one needs to be at the bottom, okay? So that we don't exit the control rule situation. We don't prevent the loading of audit rules unless we have this set to a 2, and this is unhashed. But in this case, for troubleshooting, we want it hashed. Or unhashed, and this has to be a value of 1. All right. Let's go back to the top of the file. I like this rule to always be the very top. And this rule should actually probably be down lower with the actual rules. So for the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and plop it here. Lowercase c means continue to load rules, even if there is an error. I think the dash lowercase I, if I remember correctly, is load the rules and don't put a statement out. So let's double check. Go ahead and save the file. Do a man on audit CTL, because there is no man page for audit rules explicitly. You want to do a man on audit CTL to learn about rules. So here's our lowercase c rule that we were just talking about. Continue loading rules in spite of an error. This summarizes the results of loading the rules. The exit code will not be success if any rule fails to load. Good deal. And then the other one was lowercase I. When given by itself, ignore errors when reading rules from a file. This causes AUDIT-CTL to always return a successful exit code. Now, if you're loading audit rules because you're concerned about security, do you really want a false sense of security, thinking that your audit rules are all loaded and your audit daemon is running properly and everything that you think is being monitored is well, maybe not being monitored? I don't see a reason to keep the hyphen lowercase I. And really, I don't even see a reason to keep the lowercase c, because I don't want to keep loading rules in the spite of an error. I want all rules to load successfully based on native configuration, because I want to be able to load as much as I can into memory, not being concerned about performance of the system due to audit impacts, but because I want to make sure all the rules I need to use to monitor the system from every aspect in terms of file system rules, control rules, and action rules, so on and so forth, they're all loaded because they actually were successful. So it's good to read the man page. Just make sure you read up on it for yourself. All right. So based on that, I'm going to go ahead and remove the lowercase c and lowercase I hyphenated rules out of temp rules. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy and delete this one. Actually, you know what? Let's not do that. I'm going to basically go ahead and restart services. So even though this is a systemd controlled environment for controlling audit services that are, controlling many of the services that are native to the Red Hat operating system, we're going to go ahead and run the service auditd restart command. And the reason why is because auditd is still not become a systemd compatible only file, only type of service or daemon. It's still controlled by the service command. So we got stopping, logging, and restarting. Do a quick date command. We see the time is basically 9:56 p.m. and I'm sorry, midnight, 9 minutes, 56 seconds. So the best thing to do to troubleshoot your audit rules is get them down pristine. So we want to basically, after restarting the service, do a var vim on the var log messages file. Okay, so I'm somewhere in here. I'm going to go to the very bottom of the file. I see some problems with SMTP, but I don't really care about that. It's not related to what I'm working on. All right, a little bit more. After 9:56, right, 9:54 is right when we restarted the service. Makes sense in terms of the timing, and you saw how quickly I ran the date command. Starting security auditing service, auditd dispatcher initialized, which actually is configured inside of the etc auditd.conf file. We don't need that because I'm not trying to do any offloading of audit records to the SIEM. I'm not really concerned about that, and that's not part of this particular video concern. But what is the AU Gen Rules lines that talk about which line rule number here and which line rule number here and here. You get the drift. There's a whole bunch of them. So there's a whole bunch of rules that actually didn't load properly. So let's go ahead and quickly work together and whittle this rule set down. So line 12 is the first line that's got a problem that we can determine so far in etc audit.rules. Okay. So I'm going to do a vim, another VI trick, plus 12 against the temp.rules. It's the only rules file set we have. And it jumps me right here. All right. And these particular rules here that are hashed out, they don't have any effect whatsoever on being loaded. They're not loaded based on being hashed out. That's why they're not loaded. But what we need to do is determine what is line number 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm thinking that in reality we might be having a problem with this line because it's got precisely the same syntax with the same key. So you can do audits. You can do AU search commands and then specify -K to find time-change and figure out all the things that are related to time-change, for example. So what I want to do is see if I hash out that line and this line, I should hopefully see that line 12 no longer will cause a problem. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and restart the services. Immediately thereafter, do a date command. So 1213, which we can see right here, by the way. And then I'm going to do a vim on the var log messages file. Jump to the very bottom of the file. Go back up and let's see if we move line 12 anywhere. And so what we see is that we no longer have a conflict with line 12. It was line 12 and 15 before? Or the line numbers? Let's find out. Actually, it was line 12 and line 20. We hashed out those two lines and we shifted up the line 20 by 2, making it line 18 as the first failed rule. Doesn't help us. We're not optimizing all the rules and getting them all in place, but at least now we've determined we can hash out those two lines and figure out what else needs to be hashed out, and then go back and start putting them back in place. Right? So this is an iterative process. What I'm going to go ahead and do is vim to line number 18, just to jump to it. Line 18, if you notice, with the colon set number. Very useful vim command for you if you're doing code editing or trying to troubleshoot audit rules for that example. And if you notice, line 18 is here. And I'm not sure that this is actually the one that's concerned. I think the one we're actually concerned about is actually going to be down here. Sorry, right here. So let's actually count. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 18 is actually not the trouble line. It's actually one of these two lines. Okay. So let's see if we can hash out this line, one line at a time this time, versus the two we had up here. We'll restart the services. And I'm going to basically say, hey, restart the services and immediately tell me the date right after. So midnight, 15 minutes and 46 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and do a vim on var log messages. Shift G, go back up. And we no longer have a conflict at line 18 that was line 20 became line 18. So by hashing out the duplicate line, we have now gotten rid of that problem. So we've learned something here. In var log, sorry, in the temp rules file I created, when I hashed out these two, I just basically shifted this line here up because it was the next line that was successful. But this was the line that was actually, this line was actually acceptable, but this line was not because it was a duplicate of this line. But, you know, if you hash out one, you address the problem for this particular line range set. So, okay, let's go ahead and hash out, remove that hash. Let's go ahead and do the restart of the services, catch the date, vi vim the var log messages file, go to the very bottom, go back. All right, line 63. And I think it was line 63 a moment ago, right? Oh, it was actually line 62, but the reason why it's 63 now is because we put one more new audit rule in place that didn't break anything by itself, but basically bumped the number of successful line rules loaded. So you're starting to see a process here. All right. So now line 63 is the one we need to look at. Okay. And I'm going to basically go to line 63. But I don't think that's going to actually help us because it's going to take you to line 63 of all the lines, even the ones that are hashed out. But when we're referring to line 63 in the var log messages file, that's referring to the 63rd line loaded out of this temp.rules file in terms of all the syntax. All right, so let's go back up to the top. Shift-G. I'm going to go ahead and delete these. Okay, delete that. Delete that. Remember, the next line we're looking for is line 63, but what I'm going to do is deliberately restart the services. Got the date timestamp. Go ahead and VI the var log messages file. We should still see a line 63 as the problem because the 63rd line of syntax is the issue, not the 63rd line of the temp.rules file. And we do still see a line 63 error. Good. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can now jump to line 63 of the entire file. And because there are no hashed out lines here, we're not thrown off. Okay, called colon set number. Let's go ahead and jump to line 63. Colon 63 will jump you there. And now you see here, this was the next successful line, but basically the line problem is between here and here. So choose one of them and delete it. All right, so now we don't have a problem on line 63 anymore if we save the file and restart the services. Okay, we're going to do hit vim on var log messages, shift G again, back up, line 79, line 87, line 134, line 147, line 206. So let's remember line 79. But this time what happens is when I go to line 79, I'm going to do this. So 79th line is fine. It's actually 78 and 77 that's got the conflict. See that? There's a pattern. Always look when you have a fail to load a line by line number, go to the 79th line and then look immediately there above to find where the conflict is. If you notice, there's 1, 2, 3 lines that are exactly the same, except this one has a distinct key from this one. And the reason why you can do this is if maybe one person knows audit rules, they want to see time hyphen change explicitly. And maybe somebody else wanted to basically just put the word time. They didn't. This particular person who created these rules put 10.4.2b-time-change. Right? That's not a conflict. It's these two lines that are in conflict that's causing this rule to not really successfully load, because what's happening is the rules are stopping to load properly at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and delete, and then I'm going to go save the file. I'm going to jump to the very top of the file, and I want to basically get rid of, what was it? Colon, bang, man, audit, CTL. I want to remember what the dash I versus dash E. Continue loading rules in spite of an error. Let's go ahead and instead of continuing to load rules, let's stop at that line number, making troubleshooting a little bit easier. Okay, I did this on purpose so you will see this process. So we'll restart the AUDIT service. We'll do a vim on var log messages, shift G, and this doesn't do a great job of telling you like how many rules were actually loaded. So let's do audit CTL minus L, type to WC minus LC. How many rules were loaded into memory? 208. Versus how many rules are actually loaded, or sorry, exist in temp-rules? 223. There's a reason why there's a discrepancy. First of all, only 208 lines actually loaded, I believe. And there's 223 rules technically in there, but there's a hashed out line for the -E. And even if that one wasn't hashed out, this part would not change so much because the result of this command is telling you how many audit rules were loaded, not to include the control rules that affect the way the daemon behaves. Right? So I'm quickly going to go ahead and take a look at the audit rules. Sorry, take a look at the audit rules file. Just to get in the file, I didn't want to really change the line number jumping. Go to the very top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's control rule 7. And that's control rule there. That makes it 8. Colon set number. See, that's line 223. So 8 control rule lines are not being accounted for in that entire count. But 223 lines minus 8 would make it 215. But there's 7 rules that did not load. That's what you got to learn from the process I just showed you. So do a vim and var log 7. 7 rules are missing, right? So do a vim this, and we'll have to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My count was off. Did I do my bad numbers? No, actually, I think the -A always, comma X, actually, you find that rule again. I believe that this A task never actually is not one of the rules that's counted now that I think about it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 from 223 is 216, and we counted 8 rules, and var log messages have not loaded, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so the other rule, the A rule that we had at the very top, that actually is not a control rule, but it is a audit rule of sorts. All right. Oops. Line 85. So let's go ahead and use our vim trick that we learned, plus line 85 specifically. And this is the rule that would have loaded, but it didn't. 2 conflict lines are immediately above. Let's go ahead and delete one. Restart the audit rule services. Wow. But there it is. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get through this rapid fire because now we're picking up on the little details here. Like there's always 2 rules above when a rule doesn't load necessarily. Let's go ahead and do a vim on the var log messages. Shift G to the bottom. Control B. Let's jump to line 131, and let's remember 144. So assuming that line 131 has a problem where above it has 2 rules, we'll delete one of those. That will make 144 actually become 143 without actually restarting the services. We'll go ahead and take care of line 131, delete basically one of the duplicates at line 130 or 129, and then we'll immediately jump down to line 143. Line 131 should put it at the line that didn't load. There it is. The 2 above it, 129 and 130. Delete it. We'll jump to line 143. And look, that one is the line it should load, but these are the 2 lines in conflict. The rule is precisely the same. That's the issue. Okay. Save, quit. Restart the services, check the date. Do a vim on var log messages. Shift to the bottom. Back. We got to look at line 201, 203, 205. So we'll jump to 201. We'll find out that line 200 and 199 have an issue. We'll delete one of those. That'll make a 202 line number. And then a line at 2 ADV.008D, I believe, because we have basically taken care of this one and this one. So let's go ahead and do that. Line 201, then line 202. It's actually, we'll jump to line 200 to jump immediately to one of the two rules that is causing the conflict here. And then we'll jump down one line rule number and delete one of the other conflict lines. Let's jump to line 200. Hopefully it's one of the duplicate lines. And it is, see? Delete that. These two lines are duplicates, so delete one of those. These two lines are duplicates, delete one of those. These two lines are duplicates, delete one of those. These two lines are duplicates here, delete one of those. And I think everything else will be okay so far. Let's go ahead and restart the services. Okay. Let's go ahead and check them bar log messages. Shift G, back up. And look, now we don't have any rules in conflict. Okay. These values you're seeing here are loaded by the control rules, the dash lowercase b, and so on. Let's check those out. But the point of this was troubleshooting rules. We have troubleshot the rules. Now all the rules are loading properly. Let's see how many rules loaded properly. So how many rules are there total? 215 lines of rules. We know that there was, I think, 7 control rules that are actually in place, but 8 that are actually being used because of the line in the file. So let's do vim of temp. Line, this is one of the lines, 2 control, 3 control, 4 control, 5 control, 6 control. And that makes 7 control, but it's not hashed out. And it's not until you're absolutely certain that you have all the rules you need loaded to control the system until the next reboot that you want to remove that hash. Because with this hashed out, it's implicit that it's hyphen lowercase e space 1. And let's check that out. Well, before we do that, dash B for 8192, hyphen backlog wait time 60,000. Remember that? Hyphen F1. Okay, so remember those details. Audit CTL hyphen S. This is implicit because the hyphen lowercase e space 2 is hashed out. If it wasn't hashed out, this would end up being enabled space 2. The dash lowercase f space 1 line is not hashed out, and I think the default is actually failure 1 to begin with. So it's going to be failure 1 one way or the other based on the configuration of the file. Rate limit 0, I think that's actually just explicitly not set, and that's why this is by default set to rate underscore limit 0. Backlog limit at 8192, we talked about that one already. Backlog 0, backlog wait time 60,000, we did talk about that one. Backlog wait time actual. So we could find these by doing a man on audit CTL and figuring out what switch option might be useful to modify these things. Login UID underscore immutable set to 1. That actually is in the file, so let's check that one out real quick. Right there. It's implicitly set to 1, and I think you can actually modify this particular line and put a little bit more data on it to change the behavior a little bit more. Okay. So again, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rules for control, 7 rules control. Overall, hold on, 1, I'm tired. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 rules. 6 of them are explicit. The 7th one is the bottom of the file, and that's implicit. All right. Audit CTL hyphen L pipe to WC myself. Let's see how many rules are actually loaded. There's 208. There's 208 rules actually loaded. 7 of them are actually control rules. 6 of them are explicit. 1 of them is implicit. And That means there should be 215 lines in temp rules. Let's do that. Check on the number of lines in temp.rules. And there is. Therefore, we have troubleshot what we need to do. We have the 215 lines accounted in the file. We have the 208 rules that are actually loaded as audit rules that are file system rules and the others that we had mentioned in the previous video. And we have the 7 that are implicit that basically control this behavior, and we can see the result of them by doing audit CTL hyphen lowercase s. All right. If we were to add another rule file in here, we might cause a conflict. So let's not do that. Okay. Yeah. So thanks for watching this video. I hopefully you learned a lot in terms of the troubleshooting method. I actually always enjoy doing this stuff, and hopefully you guys are liking it as much as I am for me doing these videos. If you got some ideas, please let me know. Thank you very much.